Welcome back, and thanks so much for joining us. 7:40 on your Sunday morning, and Will Meyer's here to talk about the box office. The first movie we're talking about is Snowman. I saw the trailer earlier this morning, and it kind of looks interesting.
Yeah. I was excited for this one. It's got a great cast. It's got Michael Fassbender, Rebecca Ferguson, J.K. Simmons, Val Kilmer's in this, lots of other actors. Produced by Martin Scorsese, directed by Tomas Alfredson, who brought us Let the Right One In and Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. And it's a fun serial killer movie. At least that's what I thought it would be.
A fun serial killer movie.
Well, a fun thriller, I should say. It's about a detective who's hunting down a serial killer who uses Snowman as his calling card. Everything looked good on paper, at least for me, but as they say, the best laid plans of mice and men often go awry, and that is the case here. This is a movie that has a lot of problems. If you paid attention to movie news at all this week, you may have heard the headlines, worst movie of the year, some are calling it. I don't think it's quite that bad, but it's difficult to find good things to say about this movie. The director actually said in an interview this week that 15% of this movie they weren't able to shoot, like as far as the script. So, as you might imagine, lots of holes in this movie, and it really shows while you're watching it because you spend the better part of 2 hours just in a state of confusion. You're wondering really basic things like who are these people, what's their relationship to one another, what's the case, what are the clues. It's really hard to follow this movie, and it's supposed to be this spellbinding detective story. As you might imagine too, not a lot of suspense or drama because you're constantly trying to figure out exactly what's going on. I could go on, it's cliche ridden. I think it's overly serious. I heard some people laughing in the auditorium behind me during this, and that definitely wasn't the desired effect on the part of the filmmaker. So I was able to stay with this movie though. I mean, it didn't bore me, which is a big thing. I would take this over Transformers or Ghost in the Shell, but I had to think about, what good can I say about this movie, and there's really almost nothing. So it's a movie, and it didn't bore me. So I guess I'm going to say 1 star. So, maybe even a little generous. So
1 star out of 4.
Yeah.
All right, Will Meyer. So we'll just keep this death train rolling. The next movie is Happy Death Day.
Happy Death Day. This is a horror film of sorts. It's about a sorority girl who's forced to relive the day of her murder over and over in a time loop that will end only when she discovers her killer's identity. This is sort of a teen scream version of Groundhog Day. Groundhog Day is one of my favorite movies of all time. Love it, but I'm kind of tired of seeing all of these stuck in a time loop kinds of movies. We're getting them so often. We had one a few months ago, the movie Before I Fall. But even though it's a little bit tired, and this movie certainly isn't fresh or original, it is able to create a fair amount of tension and keep you entertained for the better part of 2 hours and keep you guessing too, because you're constantly trying to figure out who her killer is. And what's interesting, Daniel, is that she is mean to so many people that the suspect list is endless. She's trying to figure out who her killer is, but she's so mean to everybody that no one likes her. So that brings me to my next point. This is also kind of a dark comedy. There's some Mean Girls, some Legally Blonde thrown in here too. Also some Scream. This movie is campy. It doesn't take itself too seriously, which I like. They throw in, comedy, romance, and horror. So a little bit for everyone if you're looking for something to see this Halloween. The problem is it isn't that scary, it's not that funny, and it's not that romantic. I like that it's trying to do so much. It's just not that great at any of those. So it's still fine. It goes down easy. And like I said, I would recommend this as a Halloween movie if you're looking for something to go see. Solid movie, 2.5 out of 4.
Okay, next up we have a little indie movie called Lucky.
Lucky, yeah, this is playing at Downtown West. It's a character study about, it stars Harry Dean Stanton, who is a character actor, possibly my favorite character actor of all time, and he passed away this past September at the age of 91. He was extraordinary. He was so prolific. He was in over 200 movies, and though you may not know his name, you saw this guy in The Green Mile, Pretty in Pink, The Straight Story, Repo Man, one of the Avengers movies. The list goes on and on. With 200 movies under your belt, you're going to have some good ones, some bad ones. I'm happy to say he went out with a good one. This is a character study. It's a quiet, meditative movie about a guy who's sort of at the end of his life wondering what it all means. And there's not much plot here. It's mostly him walking around talking to his friends about existential questions. But this is a movie that is not boring, even though it is quiet and meditative. It's a film that engages your brain. It makes you think in almost every scene. It makes you laugh, too. He was really funny. He had a great dry wit, and he's really funny in this movie.
What's the rating on this one?
I'd say 3 out of 4. Great performance, good movie. It's a little slight, but Harry Dean Stanton's great in it. I'm glad he had a great movie to go out on.
Last up is Blade Runner 2049.
Yeah.
See if this one does as well.
Yeah, this is one I've been waiting for so long. This came out like 3 weeks ago now, but I just couldn't not talk about this film because I was so excited about it. 35 years after the release of the original, this new one brings in Ryan Gosling. He's a Blade Runner who has to track down an old retired one played by Harrison Ford. This wasn't quite the masterpiece I'd hoped for. I love the original so much, but there's a lot of good things to say about it. As you can see from that, it looks gorgeous. Roger Deakins, the cinematographer, did a great job. Daniel, I will be revolting if he doesn't win the Oscar for this. Visual effects are great, performances too, especially Harrison Ford and Ana de Armas. All the women in this movie are fantastic. I think it does a good job of replicating the tone, the pace of the original. It has some problems though. I was almost just all for it, then the final act let me down a little bit. The way the plot resolved itself, emotionally it went a bit flat, and action, I wasn't excited either. I'm nitpicking though. I'm judging this, you know, comparing it to the original, which was a classic. This is still a cut above most other blockbuster films. I'd say 3 out of 4.
3 out of 4 stars and some Oscar talk. So Will Meyer, looking forward to that. Thank you so much. We'll be keeping an eye on that. We can check your Facebook page.
Facebook.com.
Oh, who's that other guy
the movie
on there?
guy? I don't know. Yeah, just some random stranger.
All right, Will, thanks.